Hey everybody, I'm back wrapping up this week's movie Halloween theme review, covering at least three of the animated Scooby-Doo films. I kind of skipped over, I forgot about Alien Invaders, but it really wasn't like my favorite one of these. Some better than what came much later in these animated film series, but growing up, I never cared for Alien Invaders. I'm just like, eh, not. It's like I don't know. It's just something about the other ones. It's like I kind of prefer better. Maybe it's because it's more supernatural and not like science fiction. Maybe that was the case. Didn't care for the alien designs personally, but in any case, I covered Zombie Island and The Witch's Ghost up on my YouTube channel, so you can follow me in the links in the description below, like my YouTube channel, if you want to catch my thoughts and covering the summary of the films. Check out my video on those. So now I'll be covering Cyber Chase. And yeah, I have my notes here on the side, so because there's some stuff I did not want to forget that I want to bring up here. But a lot of the cast members end up coming back to reprise their roles, except for Billy West, who had other obligations. So the voice actor for Scooby-Doo did the voice for Scooby and Shaggy. So the movie begins less epic than the previous films have started out, normally as. But we get to see these like at this college campus, which, by the way, shows you like how they became lax in the production side of these films as they progress. They didn't bother to even come up with a name for this freaking school. They, no joke, because I saw this, I glimpsed it immediately as the Scooby Gang showed up in the first act. This university is called State University. How lazy is that? You couldn't be bothered to give it, I don't know, some kind of Civil War veteran's name or something, or name it after one of the writers. You couldn't be bothered. It's like Westlake University. See how easy that was? I just threw a name out there. It's like, wow, that is so lazy. I know it isn't like the most important thing in the world, but it's just certain attention to details, like you're having like a mystery on a campus. You could be bothered to name the campus. State University is so basic and so lazy. Wow. What it's not like the biggest of the deals, but something that's just like, wow. I can just, if you can point out the laziness, that's a problem. Anyway, there's two students working with their teacher who, and I gotta say, this is one of the most cliche things ever when it comes to like a movie or a show, centered around like a scientist. So it's gotta be that one guy that gotta be like the Albert Einstein type of dude. And it's like, there's been other scientists beyond Albert Einstein, right? Hell, I would respect it more if you did like a cliche look of George Washington Carver or something like that. It's like, there's been other scientists. And the German Austrian voice, that Einstein did. It's like, okay. I honestly kind of getting, of course, at the time when it came out, it's been a thing, but not something that people kind of point out all that often. But as time went on, it's like, God, looking back, when centered around like a scientist type of dude, there's been a hell of a lot of Albert Einstein type of guys. Now, since Rick and Morty, there's been a lot of, Doc Brown type of scientist looking dudes. And it's like, okay, I think we need to let that kind of cliche rest. or at least ape off of other iconic scientists in pop culture or history. Anyway, they were working on an experiment with this kind of laser thing that because like give the names of these characters. Professor Kaufman, who's the teacher, voiced by Tom Kane. Eric Stoffer, who's friends with the Scooby Gang, voiced by Bob Bergen. Bill McLemore, voiced by Mickey Kelly. They get attacked by this phantom virus who looks like a living lightning bolt, which I kind of, it's simple, but I like the design. It's just like a creepy face, like a Joker type of face on a living lightning bolt, basically. And I love the voice for the phantom virus with a kind of like a staticky type of cadence to it. But it's only fended off by magnets. It's pretty much like his kryptonite. So Eric calls in his friends, the Scooby Gang, to solve this mystery because this phantom virus is pretty much plaguing this campus. And I can't help but notice, or at least wonder, in the lore of Scooby-Doo, when you see like the TV shows or even the movies, there's been most cases where Scooby and the gang ends up knowing. They don't even have to be related to them in any kind of capacity. They just happen to have friends with a kid who's going to this university. It's like, how are they friends? It's like, or at least how do they know these famous people or whatever? It's just like, you just happen to know these people that ain't related to you in some capacity, or they may be their friends with their extended relatives or something. I'm not sure, but there's been many cases. If you watch a lot of Scooby-Doo, it's not just like, oh, we're happened upon this location that's happened to be haunted while we're trying to look up the local town or resort or whatever like that. It's like, oh, Daphne's friend Jessica invited us to this ski resort. It's like, how do you know Daphne? Like, I need a little bit more meat to that. How do you know? You just know these famous people, or these happen to be rich people, or what? It's just too much of a coincidence you know these certain people. That's something I just noticed. Anyway, Eric wants the Mystery Inc. to find this phantom virus and try to put a stop to it and figure out where this phantom virus came from. And Eric's been working on this video game based off the Mystery Inc.'s past adventures. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I hope they get, if it becomes like a big deal, they get, a portion of the profits because you're using their likeness. But as the gang split up to try to find the virus, I thought this kind of hilarious. And it's not the first time they've done this, but on rare occasions, I kind of appreciate this, where Shaggy and Scooby just instinctively just walk their separate ways. And Fred is like, well, where are you guys going? I didn't say how we're going to be pairing off. Like, are you pairing off any different from last time, really? Because they know the score. And I kind of appreciate this. Goes to show the lore of, this, Scooby-Doo, where it's like, more often than not, Fred, Daphne, and Velma go off on their end while Scooby and Shaggy go in another direction while they go searching for clues. Most, at least there's been times where Velma goes along with Shaggy and Scooby, but more often than not, Scooby and Shaggy venture off on their own to go in a different part of a location to find clues on their own. Sometimes they happen upon certain clues, because they don't really actively look for them. They usually end up in a kitchen somewhere trying to stuff their faces, and they run away from one of the ghosts or creatures, and they end up losing it but bump into a potential clue. That's typically the roundabout way they end up finding it. Anyway, Fred, Velma, and Daphne bump into the phantom virus, and as Fred and the others trying to force this phantom virus away by utilizing the magnets the doctor told them keeps it at bay. This part made me laugh out loud, where Daphne, is like, "Back away, you thingy." Just looking at her like, "Thingy." And so it's like, it just messes with her as like the phantom virus is like running away, and somebody says like, "Yeah, you better run," and it's like, or something like that, and Fred's like, "Yeah, you thingy." It's like, I guess if this was rated R or something, or PG-13 at the very least, I could tell, like, Daphne just want to say like, "Fuck you, Fred." I was like, "Yeah, thingy." It was just like, you couldn't come up with no name. You was like, wow. You're supposed to be some kind of reporter or interviewer or something like that. You couldn't like come up with like a good. We all been there, but you could have come with something basically like creep or something. It's like you just like fell in your face. It's like just went with thingy. God, that made me laugh so much. Anyway, they all end up converging in the lab, where a mysterious figure beams. It's a very Tron kind of motif, where this laser that the scientists were building beams items into the virtual world. And it's like, you're making a video game based off the Scooby game, but this is your moneymaker. You got like a laser that beams people into cyberspace. That's your moneymaker. But anyway, because they, building software to be brought up on this contest that win a lot of money and stuff and grants and stuff like that. And Eric is up for, his game creation is up for the name to be, kind of recognized or whatever. So the Scooby game gets beamed into Eric's video game, where each level they gotta acquire a Scooby snacks in order to get to the next level, to get to the final area. And that's the only way for them to get out. Meanwhile, the phantom virus is also beamed inside, and so he is trying to attack the gang. And if they die in the virtual world, they die for real. Very, Nightmare on Elm Street type of rules. So they go through each level trying to avoid hazards and pitfalls and henchmen the phantom virus is utilizing in order to capture and destroy the Mystery Inc. gang. And of course, little by little, Velma and the others are picking up clues in the virtual world. And we'll get to that soon. Ultimately, they end up on the final level where they bump into their virtual selves, wearing their iconic looks. Except for Shaggy. The virtual Shaggy is wearing the clothes you usually see where Scooby-Doo and Shaggy are on their own little adventure, coming across like certain adventures on their own. Like when they at that ghoul school thing, which people is iconic Scooby-Doo film in his own right. And he's wearing like a red shirt. So they end up going with that, since the real Shaggy's already wearing the green shirt. Uh, and so they end up teaming up as the Phantom Virus is sending uh, the iconic uh, monsters they dealt with in the past. But instead of being people in costumes, they're the real deal this time. Uh, like uh, the space kook, who at first I called Space Ghost, but you knew what I'm talking about. And like all the other uh, uh, foes that they defeated in the past. And so, thanks to the extra help, they managed to put a stop to those villains, while the real Scooby Gang tries to acquire the last Scooby Snacks, but the Phantom Virus beat them to it, so he's blocking the path while he's controlling machines to hold them hostage. But thanks to Cyber Scooby distracting the Phantom Virus, the real Scooby-Doo sneaks up behind and captures the Scooby Snacks, completely erasing the Phantom Virus in the process. Because I guess there's no more levels for him to go to, so it's the end of the road for him. So he's completely erased. And so I guess they look at it as a nice little trip down memory lane as they say they final goodbyes to their past selves, I guess. And so the gang gets back to the real world, and they finally realize who created the Phantom Virus. It was Bill, and the reason being because the Phantom Virus has been dropping subtle hints subconsciously throughout this adventure, where he's utilizing baseball rhetoric. The second level of the game, which is like a baseball diamond inside a Roman Coliseum. So the Phantom Virus seems to be obsessed with baseball, and since Bill is like a baseball fanatic and he built a baseball game, he was one who beamed the gang into the cyberspace hoping to get rid of him. So you pretty much was attempting murder, essentially. So because he was jealous of the fact that Eric's game was permitted and favored over him, so he got jealous and he wanted to get rid of him and the gang from finding him out. So the movie ends with the gang in the cafeteria celebrating, and Scooby-Doo utilizing Eric's computer to create virtual Scooby Snacks for his virtual self. And so that's where Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase ends. Is there anything that I'm missing from my notes here? Yeah, pretty much that's it. Got it all. These were like kind of short little movie reviews, but they were short films in all. All in all, it was like like roughly 75 minutes to an hour. Well, it's already past an hour, but you know what I mean. Like a little over an hour. Hour and a half kind of thing. Not that too long, but yeah. But it's fun revisiting these Scooby-Doo films. But yeah, the next movie I'll be reviewing is like a classic Disney Channel movie called Twitches, starring Tia and Tamara Mari. If you recall those iconic actresses, you're familiar with the 90s TV show Sister Sister. Great actresses, and both of them have been in Christmas Hallmark films from time to time, which I know I reviewed at least one of them last year. I forget which one. But hopefully I get to, because one of them is working on a Christmas Hallmark movie as we speak. So maybe I'll be able to review that this year for the Christmas review month. In any case, I will see you guys next week for Twitches and one more movie. I'm probably going to need to do 2 per week. Normally, that's how I do it, but since I'm covering Scooby-Doo animated films, I figure I'd do all 3 this week, get them out the way. I'll do, maybe next year I'll do the live action Scooby-Doo film to review. But in any case, that was my thoughts on that. Look forward to next week. I might pop in later on in the evening, maybe, don't hold me to it, to play a little bit of Ace Attorney. Don't know. Maybe. It all depends on how I'm feeling, because I want to give me something to eat and recharge my battery a little bit. But in any case, thank you all for joining me. I will see you guys later. Take care and happy early Halloween, everybody. Take care.